This is the F1000 podcast. I'm Chaps. I'm back again with Mike. Let's bet $1,000 on the Saudi Grand Prix. Okay, Mike. Round 2, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Big winners last weekend. $150 profit over the course of the whole weekend in Bahrain. We're right back at it. How you feeling today, man?
We only made $150. What?
No, 850.
Oh, it sounded like you said 150. I'm like, you don't sell us short here, buddy. Come on. We had a good start to the season.
850. Great start.
No,
We swept the
850.
board.
Yeah, it was good. And I'm hopeful that we can find similar value this week. I mean, just I think doing a bit of a preliminary look through the book, nothing stands out maybe the same way that some of those other lines stood out to us. But let's dive into it. Where do you want to take us first?
Yeah, I do. I want to take you to a category. Now, I don't want to bet on this category, but I want to utilize it to set a foundation that I think is going to put us on a path for this conversation today. And it all really is around one driver for me.
Okay.
And it's Charles Leclerc. And where I'd like to go is the combo. No, not the combo. We want the combination tri-cast.
Okay. I looked at it. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't want to bet on it, but it's interesting to me. And I'm curious what you think about Leclerc. So he put it P2. But he struggled all weekend, from my opinion. He struggled through the practice session. He couldn't get the balance right. And then he just magically hooked it up on his final chance in Q3 and put it on the front row. Vegas, and the reason that I wanted to bring us to this combination TriCast, it's such a heavy favorite for Max, Checo, and Charles in any order to be on the podium.
Yeah.
And then so plus 125, look at the drop off to the next is plus 750 for any other combo. But what stood out to me is the next, 4? No Charles. No Charles. No Charles. No Charles. You have to go all the way down to plus 1,600 to get Max, Charles, and George. So I don't know. What do you think about Charles? Like, I'll put you on the spot because I'd love to trust him. I'd love to think that he's there. Are we going to see brake issues again? Is he still struggling for balance?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I tend to agree with the book on this. I think that we're essentially looking at a podium of Verstappen and then some combination of Perez, who I think is going to finish second, and I think Leclerc is going to finish third. And I think that there's without signs in the race, I think that there's actually just like this upper tier. I mean, it's kind of stupid to include Max in the upper tier. I mean, he's in another upper tier. He's like upstairs, right? He's like when you're in the basement and you go upstairs to the main level, but you've got somebody like on the the top floor, that's upstairs, right?
He's got the loft. He's got a private loft. Remember?
Yeah, he's up upstairs.
Lofts were when you were a kid. It's like
there were
more stairs going up. Where's that go? Yeah,
they're actually. We know as adults that they're trash, but he's up upstairs, and then upstairs is you've got Checo and you've got Leclerc, and I think again this is a circuit that the SF24 should be completely suitable for. You know, again, even though there's high speed sections, there's some low speed corners, which they do, a great job in. I think the car is, for me, I think the most important thing with Leclerc's balance on the car compared to the McLaren and maybe certainly compared to the Mercedes is that he's not afraid to grab the car by its neck and just kind of make it happen. And that's why he qualifies so well all the time. But he also feels confident enough in the car to do that. Right. So I feel like if he's got to put the pedal down at some point in this race to make up time or to grow a gap, he's going to be able to do that. Whereas I don't know if you're going to see that from Piastri or Norris or either of the Mercedes at this point. So I tend to agree with the book. And what I've been thinking of is how can we extract the most value out of that podium, right? I don't think it's a 3-car bet. I don't think it's a 2-car bet. I want to try to find a combination of 1, 2, and 3. Like I was looking at Leclerc to finish in third, Checo to finish in second. Like, are those the types of bets that we try to look at that are in that magical minus 200 to plus 200 range? You know what I mean?
Two things. Yes, I do know what you mean. Two things interesting to note there. Oh, they did. Okay, never mind. They just added to finish second. I was going to say they didn't have a to finish second, which stood out to me.
Oh, okay, good.
To only do third. Okay. I guess I'll click on it since I just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Checo's the favorite. They very much see this going Max, Checo, Charles. Very much from an odds perspective.
Definitely.
I found it interesting, the second point there that you made. You touched on the top 8 drivers except for one guy, Fernando Alonso.
Right.
In his post-quali interview, they asked him straight up, are you looking forward or are you looking in the mirrors? And he goes, no, we're looking in the mirrors.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
we're not going to catch the Red Bulls and the Ferrari.
No, and the numbers that came out of FP2 when you look at the long run pace, I mean, Aston Martin just isn't. Listen, Aston Martin had a great winter from the sense that it looks like they probably got a car similar to maybe Mercedes in that regard that they can bring consistent upgrades to. The biggest challenge for Aston Martin is can they do that? Like, can they keep up in the upgrade war that's going to take place over the next couple of months? They
Time will
have to
tell.
do that. Yeah, they have to do that in order to catch up to the big four teams that are in front of them. So really, honestly, the only threat I think to Leclerc would have been Sainz in this race, and there's still a gap between I think the McLaren and the Mercedes at this point. The McLaren is the toughest one to peg down right now. And
There's a couple of options that I like on McLaren.
Okay, now
based on where they are.
do you see? I couldn't find something where I could see enough value. I still don't know where they stand. They certainly are better for sure. The car we know is better suited in the high speed stuff.
Mhm.
But I remember Norris, like I was reading a quote from Norris earlier, must have been earlier in the week, just after they had finished the Bahrain weekend. I think the pundits, people who, are watching and covering F1, made the assumption that McLaren would be going extremely strongly here. Even to see them in qualifying trim and not even flirt with like the top 3 spots going through Q1, Q2, and Q3, it was kind of surprising, was it not? Like they didn't seem to be it wasn't they didn't look like they were at Suzuka last year or even Silverstone, right? Like those are some of the more high speed tracks where you would expect that this car would perform better than it would at something that is a mix of corners like in Bahrain, right?
The only thing I'd push back on is it did feel like throughout the qualifying, both of them were set in purple times and purple sectors.
Yeah, but they hadn't. What was it? Was it sector 2 that they were really strong in?
Well, they're rapid through sector 1, where all those turns are.
Sector 1. Sorry, I'm thinking of 1.
Yeah,
and that was it though, because they couldn't put it all together though, and I think that's a limitation of the car at this point. I don't think it's a limitation of the drivers. I think that's just it doesn't matter how much time you make through sector 1.
But I don't think the Aston is ahead of them on merit.
No, so what?
Fernando got a great tow from Lewis.
Oh yeah,
and he's a magician, and he hooked up one lap. I mean, that's the matchup I saw.
Oh, you were looking at him. Well,
there's a couple. Here, let me go to it. Yeah,
let's look at the matchups then. If you think that there's some value there, then let's take a peek at that.
Potentially.
Because you were on top. Yeah, you were. I was hesitant to bet against Alonso last week, and it ended up being it was a safe win, theoretically. And I think that was pretty good value too, actually.
Well, I think we got to listen to the teams. Like Alonso saying it. I don't know his name, but they had an Aston Martin guy involved in the post-quali interviews. And everyone, it's like we're the fifth fastest team. Like we're behind McLaren, we're behind Mercedes.
Yeah.
Alonso hooked up a lap. So I don't love the minus 250. That actually dropped. That got shorter since I looked at it. Yeah, the one that did stand out to me was McLaren versus Mercedes. Let's see if it's moved. It has not. So we've got 2 cars. McLarens are starting 5th and 6th. The Mercedes are starting 7th and 8th. And I'm not sure the Mercedes have a setup that's working for either driver right now.
No, and we talked about this all in Bahrain though. And it's nothing against Mercedes. It's going to take them a lot of time though with this brand new concept to really figure out. And think about it. You go to Bahrain, you have all the testing. They still couldn't put together a cooling package that suited the Bahrain track, and that was their undoing essentially.
And it's not just them; it's their power unit.
Oh, 100% too, right? Like
their customer teams are struggling with cooling. Yeah,
right. And so these are all. I mean, obviously something happened with the PU over there must have been some changes, maybe from a reliability perspective. That there needs to be a bit of recalibration from their customers too. But I don't think McLaren didn't have an issue though. It was just Williams and Mercedes last week with the.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Right.
It was just. I think it was both teams about what type of intake they took, right? And they were trying to be a bit more aggressive than they could have been. My point is though that there's still so many new components on this car from Mercedes, and they will 100%. They're going to figure it out, but they're not going to figure it out in round 2, and they're certainly not going to figure it out at a track that's completely different to the track that they were just on.
And I think you're using the perfect term. They're still figuring it out. They
100%.
don't know why they're this slow. They went out on mediums in Q1.
Yeah.
Thinking that was going to be enough to get them through. And then it wasn't. They had to burn another set of softs. So it's like, I don't think they know what's going on or why they're behind the McLarens. So to me, It's not a 2-car bet. You only need one driver to finish ahead,
No,
which,
I agree.
again, from the start, walls everywhere. It's purpose-built street track.
Yep.
We don't love taking multiple car bets, but this is one where we have 2 drivers starting ahead of the other 2 drivers. Lando has an extra set of mediums. Now, I don't know if that's going to come into play in the race. It's supposed to be a one-stop. I think we expect everyone to go medium to hard.
Yep.
So I was trying to think, like, okay, Lando's got an extra set of mediums. There needs to be a safety car on with like 20 laps left for those to come into play for him to actually maximize that flexibility. Otherwise, if it's later than that, they're going on to softs. And if it's earlier than that, he's maybe still on his medium stint, which you can't go medium. You got to change a compound.
Right.
So I don't know if that helps him or not. But
I
like
think
having
having the option always does. Like, I think
Yeah.
without a doubt, and it's not a point that makes you take something or not take something, but it's just a nice to have in the background, right? As a push towards maybe taking that bet. I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I want to take Lando versus Oscar. That's where that might come into play. Oscar does not have the extra set of mediums, and Lando does.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to pick between them. They both look good, and I like them against the Mercedes this week, minus 138. I think that's some interesting value. How are we getting minus 138 when they both start ahead?
I don't know. I'm not really sure exactly what that is about. I think that's more of the baked in feeling toward the Mercedes. It's just like it's like a holdover from the hybrid era of them, just the dominance, right? Like we've seen this before.
Is it we're both Leaf fans, or you could equate it to the Cowboys, or I like Notre Dame
maybe
college
I don't
football.
know.
It's like
that's
those
an interesting way to look at it.
Brands are going to get public money, so they're just
Maybe.
always shorter lines than they really deserve to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a casual fan and didn't watch these practice sessions over the weekend or over the I guess like the weekdays, probably a lot of people didn't get the opportunity to do it.
Right.
And maybe you see Mercedes in a favorable line and you put your money on them, but they didn't look like they were comfortable. And it makes sense. Again, it makes complete sense that they're not fully prepared to extract the most out of this car. Mm-hmm. The one thing I hate about Mercedes, though, is that, and this has been symptomatic of the last couple of years and not fully understanding maybe the older concept versus the W15 versus the new concept, but they would just randomly be good when they thought they were going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you think that there's I guess I'm not worried about that.
Are you saying randomly in the race or randomly on a weekend?
Randomly in a race.
Oh, okay.
Randomly in a race, they would be good. But I guess I'm going to caveat that with, okay, sure, maybe they haven't looked great and maybe they do randomly extract something from this particular setup on this particular weekend. But we do know that theoretically the McLaren will be good on this track. Unless something misfortunate happens to their drivers, they should be able to extract a lot out of this car.
Go back to the Wednesday messaging from both teams. McLaren saying we expect to be better. Mercedes saying we don't expect to be better. So I think we're seeing it.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting line for me. I like the fact, again, that you've got both cars ahead. You've got track position, plus you have safety in numbers, right? So that I'm interested in exploring that a little bit further.
I found this interesting. So it's around the same concept, but this is both cars top 6. We don't want to take a both cars bet.
No.
McLaren and Mercedes have equal odds to get both cars in the top 6.
Yeah, that is interesting.
McLaren starts with both in. And it's minus 150. So, I mean, that would be a ridiculous line to take. Let's take 138, and it doesn't matter what the second car does or what position they're in.
Yeah.
We just think a McLaren finishes ahead of both Mercs.
Yeah. Well, they didn't actually, Mercedes, because of all the setup changes and running into some traffic, and what did Lewis do? Like hit the pit limiter at one point and thought he lost power. Like they had such a weird weekend that you didn't really, I think it was difficult to actually peg down what their projected race pace would be. And maybe that's playing into this a little bit, that people are seeing. Like I saw some numbers. I've seen a few different sets of numbers where it looks like Mercedes, it's very favorable for them. But
those FP2 numbers, though, because Lewis said that whatever changes they made to FP3, he didn't like the car today.
No, it's coming out of FP2, right? So which would have been the most representative session theoretically,
unless they change the car.
Unless they change the car, which they still are doing. He took more wing, and then
but he can't change it now. Is my point?
No. It's in Parc Fermé. So, what it boils down to is this: they don't know how to get the most out of the car, and I think McLaren is probably, they're probably a little bit more stable in terms of what they think they need to they weren't great here last year, obviously, because they hadn't brought that upgrade yet. But
It's a total, yeah, it's
yeah,
totally irrelevant. And they hit each
right.
other on the first lap.
And they hit
lap,
each other.
Second lap, yeah.
Whatever, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I'm interested in it. I mark it down for sure.
I
Let's
put a
mark
big
it down.
star. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get back into the Checo and Charles, because I think there's value. Do you agree that this is going to be a Max Checo Charles finish?
Yeah, I definitely do.
That's
I think
what we're headed to, right?
I think we need to find that. Like, where is the value with that bet?
Well, let's see. To finish second, we looked at this before. So Checo's minus 110, which, hold on a sec. When I wrote this down earlier, it must have changed. Top two, which gave him both options. Top two was even money before. Okay, so yeah, so this is all dropped. Okay.
So let's talk about Checo versus Leclerc. I don't necessarily want to have to choose between the two of them. Like, if we can take, like, I saw Leclerc, maybe I think it was minus 225 now, actually. I saw Leclerc podium at minus 225, which I had it at minus 200, which I liked. Now we're kind of going away from the numbers that I like on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid. Neither do I. I'm not afraid to choose between him and Checo. I do think street track, the inherent advantage that the Red Bull seems to have, obviously with pace, even over the Ferrari at this point. I feel both Red Bulls working together versus Leclerc by himself, right? Like I'm quite confident that the bet is a 1-2 again with Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to shy away from that if we find something that we really like. But if there's a way to ensure that 2 and 3 doesn't affect us, then I would be more happy with that.
So that would be the combo TriCast, any order.
Yeah, but I don't want to take. So I don't necessarily want to take 3 cars though, right? Like that's a 3-car bet. There's a way to do this. There's a way to do this.
I came to the straight TriCast. You picked the top 3 in order, and it's plus 110.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Wild.
That's not enough value, right?
No, that should be 3 something. You're picking the in order top 3.
Yeah. See, so here's what doesn't make sense about that bet. Simple as this: plus 162 for Leclerc to finish in third.
Yeah, I wrote that.
So
down.
like, why
Yeah.
would you take 2 other cars?
I know.
Right? Like, I guess theoretically, they have to come in some order. Like if it's Checo, then Max, you still win your bet. No, it still doesn't make any sense because that's straight. That was a straight.
Yeah, both McLarens are going to pass Charles, and he still finishes P3.
Okay, group betting.
The 2 Red Bulls there.
The group betting is up
to group betting. Sometimes we'll leave it to the end.
Okay, leave it to the end because we need to finish. We have to fix this problem that we have here. But what we're going to do?
So what did you say? Leclerc P3, exact P3. I had it at 175 earlier.
Plus 162. Oh, it's 150. Okay, it's moving
again.
Yeah, it's moving. Okay, that one is I think that's a plus money bet. Like what? Why would that not happen? Like what is the risk? The higher risk is that he finishes ahead of Perez than somebody finishes ahead of him. Correct?
I don't know. I gotta combat this. He struggled with he couldn't stop the car without locking up the brakes last week. So
no, but that's
I know.
Yeah, come on. Like that.
But then he also struggled. He complained all weekend until his final qualifying lap. So yeah, I get it. I got to combat that mentally.
No, I know. I don't think we can't run away from. They still look the strongest next to Red Bull from a race pace perspective. He's still the next best driver out there in a position to get onto the podium.
If it was Carlos, I'd be more concerned that Carlos holds on to P2 than I am.
That's what I mean too. It's like
Charles holds on to P2.
I think we're in this position where we actually legitimately don't have to worry about Sainz taking some of the thunder away from Leclerc. That's we should really be
poised to do. He was ahead of Leclerc in all the practice sessions.
we should really be exploiting. We need to do something with Leclerc because we need to exploit the fact that Sainz is not there to make this more complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, is this as simple as that time 2 years ago where we saw Lando in 7th, and it's like he's going to finish nowhere other than 7th. There's such a gap ahead of Charles to the 2 Red Bulls, huge gap in race pace. Checo brings that down a little bit. Yeah. But then the gap from the Ferrari to anyone else is also massive.
I think we have to just make the obvious bet, right? And I think that's it. Right? I think that's it. I think the obvious bet is that, okay, like even if you had your reservations about Checo, at least you've got him on a track that he's won on before. Like he's literally coming off a win last year. He's confident. He's actually looked really good over the course of the practice sessions, right? He qualified. Listen, the guy qualified in 4th. I mean, he doesn't normally even stick it on the top 2 rows.
Who,
in
Checo?
qualifying.
He's 3rd.
Yeah. He's third. Sorry, he's third.
Yeah,
so
third.
yeah, so that's
he was
That's
100
huge
off
for him.
of Charles.
And he was exactly right.
Yeah.
So I think we can trust him to take that second spot. What's the value on him to finish in second versus Leclerc to finish in third?
Checo was minus money for sure.
I thought it was.
I just wanted to see like if we combine, Max and Charles minus 250. Like you would never. Is there a Checo and Charles? Charles and Checo minus 188. We're getting plus money on Charles P3.
Yeah, you have to take that, right? It doesn't. What's the point? And again, this just boils down to this question of, is Leclerc a threat to beat Checo in the race? I think both of us would just say no, he's not. And if we both think that, then let's just bet that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We both think that Checo's going to fit. Like, is there the risk that Checo drives off the track and into a wall? Yeah, I guess they all have that risk. I mean, I know it's always we're not explicitly betting on Checo too. We're just expecting him to do something, which is I'd rather do that than actually put my money on him. You know what I mean?
Well, if we put our money on him, he's going into the wall.
Well,
if
that's true too. If we just acknowledge his presence, if we just acknowledge his presence,
no, this won't
he
hit
won't
his
know.
radar.
He won't know. He'll have no idea. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
He gets his pre-race brief every week. Here's what F1000 they bet on you. So,
by the way,
sorry, Checo, you're not finishing this race.
Yeah, you're gonna have to just drive straight into a wall.
Okay, so Leclerc exact P3 plus 150. I'm gonna put a star, just in case. Let's just see.
Okay.
Let's stay at the top. Let's talk about Max.
Okay.
I've got. Why don't I just rattle them all out, and I'll let you pick which one you want to talk about.
Okay.
I think we could capitalize on Max on a winning margin over 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I think we can capitalize on him to get the fastest lap and win the race. That was minus 163. I'm sure it's probably dropped, and I'll go there after. Or a Grand Slam was plus money, where he leads every lap.
My gut is saying that we're going to see some chaos in this race. I don't know why. Like, we're coming off a weekend where every car finished, right? So it just seems like, I mean, again, and you can look based on how they've set up the odds for the number of classifications in this race. Like, they think it's going to be, I think they think it's going to be between 16 and 17. Like, it's 17, sorry, 16 and 18. I think it's 17 exactly.
You think we're going to see a safety car in this race?
Well,
minus 600. No, I don't want to bet on. I'm saying, to your point, there's minus 600. They're going to have some carnage here.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah. So that's why we have to acknowledge that when you look at things like winning margin. I think we have to acknowledge that when you look at things like fastest lap. Like, there's just all these factors that could affect that theoretically.
I think carnage moves towards Max getting the fastest lap. The thing that hurts Max getting the fastest lap is nothing happens. He's 30 seconds down the road and has no reason, once the track has evolved, there's no reason for him to go push late in the race. A safety car, he's going to have to push just to keep Checo. Like, he got to build that gap over 2 laps. He gets the fastest lap because he's on new tires.
That's okay. No, I see what you mean. That's a really interesting take. Okay, I'm not like, I don't think that's the. There's got to be a stronger bet.
It's probably moved out of our window. Actually, let's see.
Fastest
lap and win was the.
Well, I think that there's a stronger bet than that, though. There's still too many. I think there's too many variables at play for fastest lap for me to really want to bet on. I understand completely where you're coming from, and if we can't find, we like the 3 bets. If we can't find a third bet that we really right now, I like Leclerc and I like McLaren. I do like both those bets.
McLaren, I think, is. I mean, I'll say this, and now it's going to lose for sure. 100%. But I think McLaren's a great find. 2 cars starting ahead of 2 other cars, and we're in our window.
Yeah.
Where was the fastest lap and win? Yeah, let's see. It's still 163. Or you could get plus 6,600 as the next guy.
How wild is that?
It's because it's the win the race. No one else
plus 6,600. Yeah,
because it includes win the race.
Yeah.
This was hilarious. It makes total sense, but I'll just show you for a second.
Yeah.
Both cars podium. Red Bull minus 400. Next up, McLaren.
Okay.
Plus 3,300.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand how they're giving the Merc even odds with McLaren on this. I don't understand. Famous last words.
Yeah,
Mercedes is just going to go put both cars on the podium now.
Yeah.
And you don't like Grand Slam because it includes the fastest lap as well, even though it hit last week.
I know. I'm not leaning into that at this point. It doesn't.
Okay.
I think we can find something else. I don't love any of that, to be honest.
Okay, I'll keep the 2-starred. Checo P2 we talked about. I didn't have.
It's a tough week to find value. I didn't have anything else jotted down, but we haven't looked at the groups yet.
Okay, let's take a look at the groups together. We haven't seen them yet.
I think let's try to do this. Save the groups for we set the table, set the foundation, what we think is going to happen, and then we go into the groups.
Okay.
I'll predict before I even see them. It's going to be the top 8 are going to be in 2 groups in order. So they're going to put the McLarens and the Mercedes, I think, in group 2. Yeah.
Okay.
So already I don't like the first 2 groups because there's no value in Max. And I don't think we're wise to try to pick a driver. Interesting, though, that George is the favorite there. But I don't think I want to pick between Lando and Oscar. Does this make you feel worse about McLaren over Mercedes?
No, I mean, I think it's an acknowledgement. Like George Russell is dragging the Mercedes to be on par, right? Theoretically. Like that's
With
what
the
that means to
McLarens.
me. Lewis Hamilton, hilariously, is the one that's holding them back from being the favorite. Which is crazy to say.
His big comment in his post quali interview. Yeah, the Ferrari looks good. That's what he said. Yeah, that Ferrari looks good.
Looks good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't like those top 2. Let's see here. Interesting.
Matt, I really like Nico Hulkenberg in Group 4, by the way.
Doesn't K-Mag end up winning? Like Hulk's the quali guy, and K-Mag comes over the line usually first.
I mean, I don't know necessarily if I think that K-Mag is anywhere close to being the driver that Hulkenberg is. I don't know.
You wouldn't. Okay, so we can jump. You wouldn't jump on Stroll. You hate Stroll.
No, okay, so here's my only problem with Stroll is go from like Stroll to, I don't know, Ricardo on the grid. Read through them.
Stroll, then
the grid order.
Ollie
Go through-
Behrman, who for in case you guys weren't watching, Carlos Sainz has appendicitis, so Ollie Behrman from F2 is in his seat in the Ferrari, put at P11. Then Albon, Magnussen, Ricardo, Hulk.
Yeah, so like think about that window. Sorry, who's ahead of? Oh, it's Yuki, isn't it?
Yuki's one ahead of him.
Okay, so it's Yuki, Stroll, Behrman, a guy who's never raced at an F1 car.
Then Albon.
Then Albon, who he can mix
three.
it up. He can mix it up sometimes. And then Magnussen.
He just wants to get it across the line in one piece.
I agree, but I guess my point is, like, I kind of like maybe the reason that I like Hulkenberg so much is I think that the Haas is being undervalued big time, right? And so I think that they showed some really good outright pace in Bahrain, and things got compromised pretty quickly for both drivers. But that, like so if 3 cars are coming out of the race, theoretically, based on how the odds are set out, where are they coming out? That's that mushy middle in the midfield there with those
Alpines,
drivers.
2 Alpines and 1 Haas probably are the 3.
No, at the back. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that.
I think people are going to keep it clean up front.
Up front, fine, but I'm saying in the middle, like from Yuki all the way to Ricardo, like maybe not Ricardo, maybe Ricardo misses.
Okay,
it.
I finally
I'm
finally
saying
got me on the your train
like
of thought.
I think that's where the chaos is going to be in Hulkenberg. Maybe he's just behind all of that. Like maybe he can escape all of that. I also think that he doesn't get to, like, are we not going to try to leverage the fact that he didn't get to set a time? We got burned on your hot pick. I thought it was a great pick. We get burned. He starts 15th, is it?
He starts 15th.
Starts 15th. Right, so he could have put it in Q3, right? And this is like a completely different conversation.
The team gave him. They put K-Mag out and then gave Hulk.
Gave him a toe. They gave him a toe.
It was too much for his engine to handle. He was going too fast.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like I
don't love it.
Plus 250. Like
I'll
I don't
be honest
know.
with you.
Okay, that's fine. Let's not. We don't need to look
because he starts behind K-Mag.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Okay. No,
and I understand your point about the carnage.
Yeah.
But so again, last week, turn 1 in Bahrain, Hulk hit Stroll. Stroll still got it into the points. I think we would be remiss to get halfway through the season when the pecking order starts jiggling itself up again and think back and say we really didn't capitalize enough. We don't have to take it. It's Stroll. But we have 5 teams that finish in the points. Like
no, I know. I'm not.
Something happens.
Well, that's the point, though, right? Is that like if this, honest to God, you saying last week Stroll to finish in the points I mean, we won the other 3 bets, but it was the time to do that, right? If you look at the race and you go, I don't think anybody's going to come out of this race. Okay, then that's the time to take Lance Stroll to be in the points because yes, there's a clear hierarchy, 1 through 5. So like he's going to get in, right? He's got there's space for him, obviously. Do I want to be betting on Lance Stroll to finish this race at Saudi Arabia?
No.
No, I honestly I don't. Like,
No, I don't either.
Let's just take anything else. Like, that's just my point. I'm not saying it's not,
but I don't like Hulk.
No, that's fine too. We won't take it then. Let's
not in this group.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine with that.
We waited for the groups, but this is kind of what I expected.
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe we just need to be thinking about the front of the grid then. Maybe we need to be taking Checo to finish in second and Leclerc to finish in third. Do we just need to do that? Do we just think that if we just think that's what's going to happen, then maybe we just need to do that?
What's better for us? Are you going to be able to, will you do this math? Checo at -110 to finish second. And then Leclerc at +150, like to combine those two versus the straight TriCast. Because the reality is if we're taking them to finish exactly P2 and P3, Matt, that is a 3-car. No one else is winning the race.
No, I see.
If we're gonna say exactly they're P2 and P3. No, it's minus. Dude, what was it earlier when we +1 something? The straight TriCast. Didn't I start here?
Yeah, wasn't that +125?
It's -105.
Jesus Christ, man.
I was just about to throwing it all on McLaren over Merck, but
no,
butthurt from Spa.
No, I would never do that.
Last year,
no, I would never do that. I got to be honest. I'm not even entirely sold on it, but I'm not.
On what? The McLaren.
On McLaren.
Are you more sold on Leclerc exact P3?
I actually am. Like that one, for whatever reason, that one is so far that is the bet that I feel most confident in.
I mean, it's boring for the fans, but is it just? Do we just put $1,000 on Red Bull to get most team points?
No, we can win
$110.
We can find something.
Like Red Bull, most team points is a guarantee.
No, hold on. Well, okay, I'm not saying. Oh, no. I'm not saying that we don't do something like that.
It'd have to be all our money to just make a little bit of money on a weird weekend on a street track.
We got to keep digging. We can do something.
We're gonna keep digging. We're only we got time here. We got time. I like to keep it around an hour or halfway through.
I know. Okay.
Like there was Max to lead lap number and win, lap 10 and win. You just go bulk on that.
What was that one?
-400 for Max to lead lap 10 and win the race. Or I go back to the winning margin. But I know you don't like winning margin as much.
Yeah, how about this?
What are you looking at? Because I'll go there.
Yeah, because we talked about this hierarchy that exists that we think is going to sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
Both Mercedes, both. So Fernando Alonso to finish 6th place or worse is -163.
So you're in driver markets?
I am in finishing position.
Finishing positions. Alonso, no, that wouldn't be it. That's just top 6.
Yeah, you have to go. Sorry, you have to go.
Market.
It's called finishing position as a main.
That's what I clicked on. Finishing position.
No, not in the mains. Go back. Go down. Go down.
As a main, not in the main.
Yeah, you got it. Not a main. It's a main, but it's not a main. It seems like
finishing position. The unplural. The unplural.
Finishing position, not finishing positions. Yeah. Come on.
Sorry.
Idiot.
Sorry. 6th or worse. So both McLarens get them.
So both McLarens get them. Both Red Bulls get them. We have to.
They're
this
ahead.
is. Well, no, I'm sorry.
It comes down to both McLarens get him. You could
Yeah.
get a Merc, maybe passes him,
Right.
which would help. Like, you don't need it.
Well, okay, so we think that Mercedes probably at least one of them has race pace on Aston Martin. Well, okay,
Do
you
you
said
think
it. You said he's looking backwards. You said
He's
Like,
looking backwards, but to defend, not to move backwards.
well,
The point I made there was he's not looking at the podium.
no, I get that too, but he's probably going back. Like, what is he extracting? What is Aston Martin extracting out of this car at this point? What are they getting? So here's what we know. We know last year the car's defining characteristics were medium and slow speed, and they got off to the start that they got off to because of the catastrophic failures of Ferrari, Mercedes,
Well, that's
and McLaren.
really what it came down to, was Ferrari had failures.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, the failure of Mercedes and Ferrari and McLaren to develop competitive cars. But
But also Ferrari just couldn't stay in the race.
Oh, that's true too.
He inherited a few podiums there.
So we're weighing. I guess, like, what I think minus 163 is this acknowledgement that, like, he was on the podium last year after the whole, like, fucking got the penalty and then didn't get the penalty or whatever. Like, he had that run of podiums at the beginning of the year. Like, people are still holding on to this idea that Aston Martin is a competitive car from a top six perspective, when I don't think that it is, right? Like, until they bring some upgrades to the car, it's likely that they're not a top six car, right? Is that not true? Especially at a track that you would think, based on last year's car, I don't know how different this year's car is to last year's car, but it's definitely obviously like an evolution of it. I don't think that the principal characteristics that define its success, medium and slow speed success, are any different. So why would it be really good at the Jeddah Corniche circuit? Like, is Fernando Alonso qualifying where he's qualified it's the same as Bahrain? It's just one lap brilliance by an amazing driver who's probably just not going to have the race pace to maintain a top six position.
This is a circuit too where that sector one, especially, like, if you miss by an inch on one of those corners, the whole lap's done. So
100%.
You're right, like, experience, he nailed a lap together.
Yeah.
Where even the McLarens both had mistakes in their timed laps.
Yeah.
Put them on the grid.
That's fine. And, like, that, what that does, I think, is give us value, that his starting position gives us value from a fade perspective. Like, do I like fading Fernando Alonso? No. But I think he's limited just based on the car that he's in. Realistically,
come over here. You like the 163 for him to drop, as opposed to giving up some value and taking McLaren. It's effectively saying the same thing, but I would suggest that the McLaren over Aston, like, Fernando could finish fifth, and only one of those McLarens needs to get it. That's where that extra value goes.
You just made the right decision there. Yeah, that's probably it, right? That's probably the right decision.
Now, are we too much? Are we going to go McLaren over the Merc and over the Aston?
No, I don't think we can do both. I think that we just have to make a decision. Like, if it's
Then
McLaren
it's
over Aston, no, I don't know. I would
a
rather
better line, and they start ahead.
It's a better line, and they start ahead. But think about why are we getting what we're getting? And maybe that just goes back to what we talked about, where they're the Notre Dame, the Maple Leafs of.
It's the overvalue on Merc.
Maybe, yeah, it could be. It's also,
they're not undervaluing McLaren here. Like,
they're not undervaluing McLaren.
Disrespected.
No. I wish there was something that stood out to me. I'm just looking through my notes too to see if there's anything that I left.
Goes and gets them.
Is there anything that I left myself? I mean, a lot of the notes that I have on Mercedes are just like reasons to theoretically fade them.
Right.
Like, maybe I'm overthinking it.
Maybe I'm underthinking the fact that it's just two cars ahead of two cars, but, like,
you're underthinking. Yeah.
Well, am I not thinking enough?
No, you're not. Like, I mean, if anything, maybe they're just even on potential race pace, and you've got track position.
Yeah, they're even on every. Like, they're both minus 150 to get both cars in the top six.
And you've got track position that you think you would be able to exploit, right? Like,
you would think.
Yeah, they've had a shitty weekend.
What all this is telling me is the odds makers expect Alonso to finish 8th. Really?
Yeah. Well, they do.
So you're not wrong on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm surprised to hear you say that you like the bet where you actually need something to happen more than the one where it's just like the McLarens don't get passed by the Mercedes.
Well, no, I know. Okay, then I would say then, I guess, Yeah, you do need something to happen. No, I understand where you're coming from, for sure.
Fernando could go get Checo and then sit in P3 for 10 laps off the first turn. Like, he won't finish there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a great start. And did he lead lap 1 last year over
Yeah.
Checo?
Who? Sorry.
Fernando.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he led the race, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be, even though he says I'm looking behind me, well, put another car behind you then, and then worry about that 10 laps later.
Okay. I'm man, what's happening is I've just overthought this probably way too much. And I went into the podcast with this idea that Mercedes still isn't ready. They've had a scruffy weekend. They can't get the setup right. They're dealing with a lot of rear end instability. That's a horrible thing to have at this circuit, right? Lewis is like scared driving the car. So he doesn't provide any confidence. He doesn't trust it at all. George is a young, brash, aggressive racer. And if anything, that probably just puts him at risk of putting it into the wall.
Yeah,
the fact that he's got this instability, right?
I don't want to overreact too early, but it's already looking like Mercedes is like it's George's team. How comfortable he is with this redesign?
Yeah.
No, he is. He's struggling.
Yeah, and Lewis is struggling, right? And so, but I think that just is like Lewis is. I don't know. You just become older and you become a little bit more sensitive to those types of things, and you don't want to take on as much risk. And younger drivers are willing to do that. They'll take the pointy front end and the rear end instability, right? Like that's the Max and Leclerc model, right? Like just
are you starting to suggest that Lewis has fallen off?
Maybe.
I don't think so. I'm not ready to say it yet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe like if he just can't. If George keeps beating him like this, we'll have to see. But so okay, either way. The McLaren bet still makes a lot of sense. The McLaren bet still makes sense. I'm not going to run away from that. I think
the Aston makes sense too. But now we're really putting it on.
Wow, we've been in this position before.
Once.
Like, do we want to do it? I don't necessarily. We can't. We have to diversify. We can't trust them to just. I'll take it makes way more sense to take even money on a bet where they start in front. So like 100%, you've got me sold on that. In the comparison between Aston and Mercedes, McLaren over Mercedes makes more sense. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take that.
Okay.
I'm okay with the Leclerc bet. Like, I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm don't
okay with it.
know how the race plays out. And unless something happens, obviously
something happens, but
yeah, which is fine. Like, I think the race plays out that way at the front and we just take that bet. Right. So I want to find a third that's in our magic zone. There's got to be something.
Is it smart to double up on Checo P2 then? Or you lose both if you lose one, and that's tough.
Maybe it's not. Okay, so right now, I will say I
think we need more.
Like, if we take
2 last year and that one.
Yeah. No, I kind of want 3. Like, I do like having 3. And if we... Like, it almost doesn't make sense to not take Checo to finish in 2 and Leclerc to finish in 3, because what other order, like, what else is happening in that? The only potential risk, and there's no risk. Like, there's no risk that Perez wins the race with Max on pole. Like, there's not
zero risk there.
No, there's zero risk. So then the logical bet is to take Checo to finish in P2, Leclerc to finish in P3, and you just like that. How does that not happen unless something crazy goes on?
So you do double up on them then?
Well, because if you're going to take one, how are you not taking the other?
Because the line is no. Yeah. I'm going to talk you off this right now.
Okay.
Why would we add a minus money short odds on Checo P2 when we could just put double the money on Leclerc P3 at plus 150?
No. Okay, sorry. I should say that. Again.
Oh, so you can win.
Yeah.
You can win.
You can win Checo. Yeah, you can win Checo and have Leclerc. Yeah, like sorry, that's the obvious reason, right?
Okay,
like that's the reason why it's a minus money bet. So you can still win them. Like the Checo bet, theoretically, well, obviously it's shorter odds and it is safer, right? Anybody could. He just has to finish. So what's finishing P2? We have to look at this too. Without Max Verstappen versus top 2, right?
I believe it was minus 110 when I saw it last time. Let's see if it's moved.
They should be the same. They should be the same, but sometimes they're not. Right?
No, they're not.
It's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's that much shorter.
Longer to get him P2. This is shorter. But the other one has a potential of Leclerc winning the race and Checo finishing P2.
Yeah.
So you've got a second option for Checo to be P2 at shorter odds. Am I understanding that right?
We're not missing something here, are we?
This only has one outcome. Checo wins.
Yeah, this Max. Is Checo. Yeah, Checo wins without Max. But the other one has other outcomes. Finish
exactly second is shorter, and you could technically have
win
Checo
if Leclerc
second
if
Leclerc Charles wins.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry. I guess like the what you're losing is Checo winning and you winning, which we just don't think is a possibility.
It's
never
not going to happen.
It's not a possibility, though, right?
They're not going to let it happen.
No, I guess if something like if Max's car blows up, which I mean it hasn't, so I don't know why it would, right?
Right. Then you get Checo to win the race.
Yeah, right. Like that's the difference. Which I guess you might as well take for the 28 points. Like maybe you just take that just in case.
You think so?
Well, what's more likely? No, I guess it does make sense. It's better to just take that.
What was the other one? I forget already.
Without Max.
Oh, without Max, yeah. So you're leaning to the without Max for a little bit less value.
Yeah. Well, I think if we're gonna make that bet, without Max makes the most sense.
So the difference is this one we could have something happen to Max.
Yeah.
The other one we could have Charles be faster than Checo. My gut is it's slightly more likely that Charles would be faster than Checo.
No, but your Charles could be faster than Checo, but Max also in that scenario is out of the picture.
Yes, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. It just actually really when you think about it for 28 points, you kind of get way more value. Right?
Okay. I'll change it. Yeah, Checo without Max.
Without Max. Can we? Okay. Is there are we missing? I'm gonna go on my phone too to see if I've got any notes that I've left myself. There's got to be. Listen, I'm fine with all of that. All of that, those three bets actually, I'm quite comfortable with.
We're in our window. 2 minus 138s and a plus 150.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I like that. Is there anything?
I would revisit the winning margin over 10 seconds.
Yeah, but I guess
the more we talk about it, this race, everyone's open about it. This race is for P2, and it's going to be a great battle
but
Checo and Charles. So do they slow each other down, and Max just takes off?
That's not the problem. The problem is they think that 17 cars are going to finish the race, which means at any point, Logan Sargent could run into a wall. Why do you don't want to be on winning margin when there's 10 laps left and there's a safety car or there's a virtual safety car or anything. Like you don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Like why? And the odds reflect that. Like based on what we just saw, you think it would be minus money for him to smash everybody. I don't think it is. I think it's plus money.
It's minus 163.
It's minus 163.
It was the longest.
Well, you know what? I think that because I saw it, I think I opened it right away. Yeah, that started as plus money, and I think the public is just on it, and the public is just inheriting.
I wrote it down pretty quick.
Did you? I think you're just inheriting way too much risk by taking that. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't control it. It's an uncontrollable outcome at this point. I'm not arguing that it doesn't. Okay. Like I understand. It makes a ton of sense. It probably will. Or it's going to happen. Or there's going to be a safety car with 8 laps left, and he's going to win by 6 seconds. Right? Yeah. I don't know.
A late safety car is the only thing that kills that.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm saying no late safety car, Max is going to have that gap.
Yeah. The odds are literally suggesting that minus 600 for a safety car?
Yeah, but the most likely safety car is turn 1.
I agree. No, for sure.
Not at the end of the race.
No, I agree.
But it can happen.
The possibility still exists at a high degree.
Maybe Nicholas Latifi jumps in that Ferrari, and then it's 4 laps left, and he just bins it into the wall.
Nicholas Latifi jumps in the Ferrari.
Remember Latifi?
Imagine? Yeah, he was sick.
I had a moment today where I was like, we had Latifi and Giovinazzi on the grid. That was fun.
Yeah, that was sick. That was fun.
Okay. We don't like the TriCast. We popped in here earlier. We like to look at fades, but there was really no smart fade.
I didn't see anything.
No,
it's all just
it's the 2 guys that we think are going to be on the podium.
Right. And you might as well just, instead of making one bet, which is a combo bet, you might as well make the 2 separate bets theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, there's nothing there. There's just nothing there.
We talked a little bit in our pre-show. There's not a lot of value. The fact that Sainz is not there, so a second Ferrari is irrelevant. The fact that McLaren and Mercedes stacked themselves, I think everyone kind of expects how this is going to go.
I wish we like the Leclerc podium finish opened at -200. I wish we got that. No, never mind. I take it back. No, I'm totally fine with him to finish third.
It's -275 now.
Yeah. I'm still fine with the +140 for him to finish third. I think that's.
Did it drop 140? I wrote 150 to finish third.
It's moving.
140.
We're gonna need to get on it. I'm just looking for like a one.
Like, we've never done this before because they didn't have same game parlays, and that's moving us into a multiple car bet.
I know.
Like Max wins, this one that they predetermined. Charles on the podium, Lando top 6.
I don't even like that though. Like if you go,
what don't you like about it? All three of those things happen.
It's a 3-car bet though.
No, I know. I get that.
No, I would just say no. I would rather take what we have on the board right now. I'd rather take our 3 bets that we have. They're all individual bets. They're all within our sweet. They're in the sweet spot. Would you not? I would rather take those 3. I would rather take those right now. Unless we can find something that really, I don't even know what I would cut.
Am I too concerned with if Charles just does beat Checo, which we've seen before, that we lose 2 bets because of that? Like, why not just take the Charles off? Well, no. If anything, you take the Checo off.
Yeah, this is like
we've added a third bet, and they're very much related to each other, so it's not really 3 bets.
I know. I don't like doing that. I don't like doing it. Like I'm. Fuck. Yeah, really. Again, I guess the bet would have been the podium finish for Leclerc would have been the good bet, but it's just way too short now. It's way too short at -275. You can't take that. No. It doesn't make any sense, right? The without Max makes more sense
for Checo.
And you're just like, hey, if Leclerc beats him, but it's still a good bet.
They do. The Red Bull has so much more race pace than the Ferrari.
That's the thing, right? Like, I just can't.
And they both liked the setup. They were both comfortable. Leclerc was not comfortable. He's not going to be comfortable. Can't change it. Park for May.
Yeah. I mean, how did he do? He just was. Checo, this is the right track for us. Again, this is the right track for us to be doing this with him. Right?
Checo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won last year.
He won.
Max was out of the way, but he
won. His FP2 session, like I think I have him. He completed 15 laps. Right, he was very comfortable. Mm-hmm. He was. I don't know, man. They just have such a massive advantage.
He made a mistake in his hot lap today.
Who? Checo?
Checo, yeah.
Yeah. Which is. I mean, again, the guy is third. Like that's. I think you're getting incredible value for him to be starting third. Are you not?
We get extra value the fact that he's third and not second.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I would say actually you're getting, like I feel like we're getting extra value with him not being fifth or sixth, like just getting some track position, not having to fight through the pack, needing to get one car, which he theoretically could just get by staying out longer and just building a gap.
He's going to be the last to pit?
Well, I think Max will probably be the last to pit, but I also like that's plus 350, and I'm just like I looked at it, and it's just that I could never suggest that with the safety car element involved, right? Like it just doesn't.
You
make
never
any
know,
sense.
right?
Yeah, you can't
never
do
know.
that. That would never make any sense to do that. Is there anything? I'm just trying to find like a note that I've left myself now.
I'm looking at categories.
Here, the GPS. Mercedes is just, I have all my notes and it's just all of the uncertainty that's around the team. That's all it is. It's all uncertainty. right?
For what
just
it's
a
worth,
bunch.
while we were waiting for odds, I wrote down Checo P2 question mark because
Yeah.
the line wasn't out yet. But I mean, that's an obvious
Yeah.
something I was looking for. Who else could take this podium from Charles? I don't think anyone.
No, there's nobody. Okay, I think we're stuck overthinking things. I think those are the three bets, man.
Hold on, I want to check one more thing. Checo top 2. I had this written down at even money before,
minus 120.
so we should probably take this instead of the without Max.
You can be in one of
Checo without Max is minus 138. This is top 2.
Yeah, why wouldn't that? Obviously makes more sense, right?
Same bet, right? Just we're getting a little bit of
Two,
value
we just get a bit more value.
because Max can come out and Checo can win.
Yeah.
Max can come out and Charles can win and
No, that's
Checo
right,
too.
Okay, no, that's right, bet.
Yeah, right? Good thing I
Yeah.
checked because I had
No,
that
no.
little note from before.
Good on you, buddy. Okay.
This hopefully you stayed this long enough into the show because that right there is the value of what we do here.
It's true.
We just find the best option.
So minus 138 ends up being the shortest that we're on. Oh, that moved, eh? McLaren is now minus 138 versus Mercedes. What was that?
No, I had it 138.
Okay. We should we got to just bet these then.
Are those the three then?
Yeah, I think those are the three. I'm just going to put them in. So top 2 finish for Checo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we just, the obvious bet, which is to finish third. And I don't know, man, if chaos happens at the front, then what do you do? It is what it is, right? I mean,
Then the
So
McLarens are moving up.
yeah, McLaren over Mercedes at minus 138. Checo top 2, minus
Checo
120.
top 2, minus 120.
Leclerc to finish third at plus 140. That's it, right? Those are the.
I think, yeah, we just hit the post right on it with Checo or with Charles to finish third.
What do we just do 333?
Do we do that until we lose?
Yeah, probably. Because I don't have a. You would think that the McLaren would be the one that we're leaning towards.
Uh-huh.
I'm not really though. Like I'm.
Do you want? Who gets the? Last week I picked the extra $1
Yeah, who gets the
Because I
extra
had a
dollar?
sense. Do you have a You don't have a sense.
No.
I think Checo top 2 gets the extra $1.
Okay. We're going with what you say, buddy.
I think, right? I
Yep.
think that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm thinking, people.
You think that's what you're thinking? Okay.
This
So
is let's go. It's Red Bull 1-2 until we see it not happen.
I agree. Well, I mean, so it is. It's
And
Red Bull
Carlos
1.
isn't in the way.
No, that's okay. The crux of all of this about what we're projecting to happen is that Carlos is not there to interfere with this happening.
Mhm.
It's just 3 guys that are out for a Sunday drive, possibly. You could have 10-second gaps between Max and Checo and Leclerc and the field. You could.
I was just thinking. So Max
10
Max,
second gaps.
league of his own, S tier.
Yeah.
Charles, Checo, and Carlos equally matched in the A tier.
Sure.
But we don't have one of those drivers this week. So let's go on it. And then you've got 6 drivers in the B tier
Exactly.
that I think could finish in any order pretty much any week. And we're
Yeah.
on the McLaren because they start ahead. Both drivers ahead of both drivers.
I think. Okay, I'm going to make the bet.
At some point, Fernando is going to be between the McLarens and the Mercedes.
McLaren over Mercedes, Checo top 2, Leclerc to finish third. Minus 138, minus 120, plus 140, all the numbers that we like.
We're in our windows.
Yeah, I made the bet. Okay. Okay.
333, 333, 334.
Yeah, we did it.
All right, awesome. Good work, Mike. That was a challenging book, and I think we found value.
I think so too.